Will NATO abandon the U.S.? As you can see here, I'm going to add something else to that title. And eat her flesh with fire. This is a video that was just put up. Not even half an hour ago. I'm not going to let you hear it because you know how YouTube do. It says NATO torn by Russia, anti-U.S. marches erupt in Europe, 20 countries dragged down by Ukraine. And I believe that's America go home. And these are NATO nations, not the leaders, the presidents, the prime ministers, but the people. They're protesting against America. So anti-U.S. demonstrations erupt in France and Germany. France and Germany are two major NATO nations. Great Britain left the NATO. What is it? Three years ago. Look up a Brexit. Britain exiting NATO, and that's a fulfillment of Daniel 2. Start from the 40th verse on down. So it says here, a NATO official revealed on 27 November that some of the weaker NATO members, I'm glad that they said that, the weaker NATO nations, meaning strong and weak. Wow, that's something. The weaker NATO nations, the weaker NATO members were no longer able to support Ukraine, and that 20 out of 30 NATO countries were already exhausted. A military expert mentioned that Ukraine consumes more artillery shells in a day than NATO does or did in Afghanistan in a month. There's some corruption going on. They're selling them weapons in the black market. I believe, not my opinion. I could be wrong. In the previous battle, Donbass, for example, the Ukraine army had to fire 6,000 to 7,000 missiles a day. A single artillery gun sometimes fires hundreds of shells a day, and with all the guns combined, an ammunition consumption can be imagined. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but I pull out some keywords. A NATO official revealed on 27 November, that some of the weaker NATO nations, then it goes on to say 20 of the 30 NATO countries were already exhausted. So it's not just the U.S. supplying it with weapons and billions of dollars. It's also NATO nations, and they're tired of doing it. And that's going to cause them ultimately to shoot fire on that bitch. So let me give you one precept, and I'll close it. Daniel 2. Now, if you go to like these commentaries, Bible commentaries, they're not going to tell you that this is talking about NATO. We jump down to the 40th verse. So we almost out this bitch. Okay, it speaks about Rome. Fourth kingdom is Rome, right? And let me start from the 40th verse. And the fourth kingdom, which is the Roman Empire, all the Bible experts say that's talking about Rome. Shall be strong as iron, For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdue all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Let's talk about right now. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings, which is right now, shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom. What does it mean by set up a kingdom? When you see us out there on the highways and the byways putting these videos up, now we're doing 2 and 3 videos a day, which shall never be destroyed. That's a heavenly kingdom. The people of the nation of the heavenly kingdom are the Israelites. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it forever. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, meaning the kingdom is for the Israelites, not the other nations. So that cuts you, vocab Malone. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain, 2nd Ezra 13, without, and that's what Ezra saw. He looked down to see what region did the Lord cut this mountain from. So that's what Daniel saw is the same thing that what Daniel saw was the same thing that Ezra saw. Because that stone, he actually saw a stone cut out of the mountain. Ezra said it was a mountain that he was on. That's that stone. It has a great millstone without hands, and that it was a ship that he saw. So that stone represents a ship. And that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, Babylon. The great power have made known to the king, what the king of Babylon, what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. So that's what's happening right now. Daniel 2, from the 40th verse on down. Anyway, giving all praise to Yahweh by Shem Shai by Shem Rakakodash, so I'm going to say Shalom.